for me, as a kid growing up in Rwanda, I only had one dream: journalist. I was the kid hushing everybody all around, telling them, shh, the news is about to come on. I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know how these people got their news, who they were, and where they were. But as is with life, things get put on hold. So when war broke out in Rwanda, my dream remained just that, a dream. Because when bombs are dropping down on your head from all sides of the city, you're running from your life, you only have one thought: survival. How do you get from day 1 to day 2? You don't know. So that's what we did for the next 3 years in Kenya. We were trying to survive. One country to another, where we didn't speak a single language of the languages that were spoken there, Kiswahili and English. So we had to survive, myself, my family, and so many others. How do you buy a piece of bread when you don't know what bread is in English or Swahili? You only speak your mother tongue, Kinyarwanda in my case, and French. So we'll go to the market, you point at the said bread, and you slice. People don't know what you're talking about. You could want a piece of meat. Maybe you just have nothing better to do but just the slicing motion. Little by little, we learned we could say bread, we could say sugar. As with anyone who learns a new language, and when you have to do the emotions of finally making it, go in there and say, I want milk. The simple, sheer happiness. So then began our life in Kenya. We had pretty much nothing, and we still had to survive. So basic needs, food, shelter, and health became priorities. There we were, 9 of us, in a 2-bed flat. We had a little small baby. But we still had to survive. But, you make do. So for the whole of 1996, myself, my siblings, and so many other people, we couldn't go to school, so we didn't step in a classroom for a whole year. So we turned to the radio, and whenever we could, we'll get newspapers. So this was two-folded. One, to learn about our new country, Kenya. Second, and most importantly, to learn and improve our language skills. We still needed this. But we also realized that we needed to go back to school. We needed to get back to the books, to the pen and paper. But we still couldn't. There was no money. And it's not like here. We are very privileged here in Norway to have free education. Back home, where I come from, you still have to have money to be able to go to school. So we started looking for sponsors, and luckily we were able to attend Kenyan schools. And that's how we met my guardian angel, Sister Elizabeth Nziwa. She's a Catholic nun. She didn't know us. We didn't know her. She was the headmistress at one of the schools we attended. But she gave us that one chance. And she had a message. I'm putting my life, my reputation, my career on the line for you. I don't know you. You don't know me. But I just want you to promise me one thing. That you will actually do as you told me. That you will study and that you will succeed. That wasn't hard for us. I never liked school, but having gone 1 year without school, I was the happiest kid in class. I was putting up my hand up, I was asking questions, because when you know the saying, when you don't know what you've got until it's gone, trust me, I felt it. It was good being back in class. I hated school, I hated maths, I hated all sciences, but I managed to get an A in physics. I still don't know how, but I did. And so began our Kenyan school experience. I never knew or felt the otherness. How does it feel to not belong? How does it feel not to be where you're supposed to be? Now, all the girls in school look like me. We are all Africans. We are all girls. We all have one purpose. We are there to study, to learn, to become something. But they made sure that we knew, me and my sisters, that we were not like them. We were different. Because of that simple thing, we were refugees. To me, that's the first time that I felt the word refugee was negative. I did not ask to be a refugee. Nobody asks to be a refugee. But when you're being shown and told time and time again that that's what you are, you start hating what you are. I was 13 years old. So imagine young, impressionable, and having to hate what you are. It's not because I was fat. It's not because of how I looked, but because of circumstances that I did not choose myself. You start doubting yourself. So when you're a refugee, it's very easy for you to stop believing in humanity, to stop believing in yourself. But what Sister Nziwa did for us brought back that humanity. We could sit and look and say, you know what, no matter what happens, this one woman, she gave us that chance. And for that one person in this life, I will do whatever I can in my power to make sure that I do her proud. Now, I wish I could see her as often as I can, but I can't. She lives in Kenya, I live in London, but there's never a day that goes by that I don't think of her and what she did for us. Now, the UN refugee system, I don't know if you know so much about it, but it's, how can I describe this? Confusing at best and frustrating at worst. So we had been in Kenya for 3 years, but in the process we had been making process. We had started the process to be relocated somewhere. Sometimes you get to choose. That's a luxury. Sometimes you don't. And that's what happened in our case. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how I found out I was going to a country I had never heard of. Remember, I hated school, so geography was woo. So I'm sitting, getting my hair done. It's Christmas time soon. My sister rushes into the hair salon, very excited, yelling, "We are going to Norway." I just look in the mirror, I'm like, Norway? Where or what is that? But she's so excited, she rushes back home. Of course, since I'm curious, I have to know. So I rush back home. I get home, and the house is in chaos. What are these people doing? They're talking over each other. Dad has an atlas. We're going here. My mom is saying, "Oh, we're going to Denmark." I'm like, what in God? I thought Norway. But it didn't matter. We were going somewhere. So when we landed, and not anywhere in Norway, because when I say Norway, you think Oslo, you think Trondheim, where we are today, you think Bergen. Gosh, you can even think Tromsø. Ladies and gentlemen, they took me from Kenya to Sandnessjøen. Yeah? I don't know how many of you can point that place on the map of this country. So we had been given 2 days, 2 working days, a Thursday and a Friday, to get ready to move. I won't fault our host. They did everything that they could, but there's so much you can do in 2 days to get ready. You're moving a family of 8. It's not going to happen that easily. So they kind of forgot that one thing called dress code. Because when I landed in Sandnessjøen, Stokker Lufthavn, gosh, how do you say even that? The wind, everything. I just looked outside and I thought, I've been left for dead. It was so cold as I had never, ever in my life experienced. It was so dark, and someone is trying to convince me this is 2 o'clock. Yeah? Not a.m., p.m. And I'm thinking, well, do we have another time? Do they not look at the clock the way we do? And as I'm confused at the time and everything, I just look back and actually realize the infamous Norwegian saying. I'm sure most of you know, but for those who probably don't, you know what's coming. There is no such a thing as, bad weather, just bad clothing. And that's what we had on. A pair of jeans, a sweater, and canvas shoes. December up north in Norway. Try that soon and see how that feels. But we were so excited, and then with that came, the intensive language courses, and exciting as it was, the sound of A-Ö-O. They still tickle me silly to this day. I love to tell people, oh, we have extra alphabet letters. We are that special in Norway, because we are. Come on now, we have extra letters. But with that also, what I remember was my sister refusing to go to work. She had gotten a job after 2 weeks or 3 being in Norway. I don't know how she did, but she did. So we were there, and she just called her work. I can't come to work today. Oh, are you sick? Did something happen? No, I'm fine, but it's snowing. And you mean, I can't walk in the snow. And rightly so, she had never seen snow. This was her first time, so she had to do what she had to do. But she did manage, little to say she's the one who lives farthest up north from the whole family. But with that now came the whole thing of I could get back to my first love, journalism. I watched the news, I read the newspapers, I listened to the radio because I had to know if I had what it took to become a journalist. It's always good to be back here in Trondheim. I studied here. Some of my closest friends still live in this town, so I am bound to come back. But it also was one of those moments that I started at the student newspaper Underdusken. I loved it. Such a wonderful, wonderful publication. But it was also here that I had probably the greatest moment of my life at that point. A moment I know, and for a fact, that my mother, who is here today, over there, is very proud of this moment. That's me, and that is the UN. Thank you. So I'm very proud of that moment, as you can tell. It would be a lie to say I wasn't, because really it does look good, it does feel good. I still can't believe it's me up there. That's me 10 years ago. I was much younger, slimmer, less jaded than I am now, but it's part of the job. So from that moment, I moved on to NRK, where I forged my career in this country. But one thing changed my course of the career when I was at an interview and an editor told me I couldn't get the job because I didn't speak like the natives. And as we were ending the conversation, she said something that has touched me and that has marked me for probably the rest of my life. She told me, and I quote, "Get more Norwegian friends." Awkward. It was as much silence as there is now. I hang up and I knew this was my last moment in the Norwegian media landscape. So I packed up my bag, moved to London. I have to try it. I have to see if I will forever be the other, that person that everybody talks about. But hey, it's led me to this.
I like to do a jaw loosening exercise before I start.
How do you do that?
I go,
Hi, this is Nesta.
Hello, it's Deirdre.
It's Adam here.
Tallulah.
Mega.
Hi, I'm Vic.
Charu.
Hi, this is JR and Jamie.
With your BBC Minute.
BBC Minute.
Ooh, what is it?
Well, it's a minute.
It's from the BBC, lasts a minute.
BBC Minute is
News.
all of the trending stories all over the world.
What you're sharing.
Fun,
Conversational.
fresh.
Everything you didn't think you'd ever know about all the things you already knew about.
This is where we work. So everybody is getting ready for our latest BBC Minute. So, we're all professionals.
The answer.
How's your... Dear. You're getting all it.
Ooh, what is it?
BBC Minute.
So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. My simple step from little Rwanda, a country that you can barely see on the world map, it's usually just a tiny dot you can look on the side, to Norway, to where I'm standing today. I always say, the first step, you just take it. You don't need to look what's beyond that first step because you'll get there. And once you get there, it will be what you ever wanted, you ever dreamt. I never dreamt of the BBC, but being there, it's what's beyond the staircase for me. So thank you.